Foals are a British band who were formed in Oxford in 2005, and they came through out of the Abingdon School, which is the same school that spawned Radiohead. Trying to think of interesting facts about them. Their front guy, Yannis, is Greek. They've had 7 albums. That's not hugely interesting. Critics like them a lot. They're quite a serious band, and they've had a lot of acclaim. Hi, my name's Dan. Do you know this album? Do you like this album? Do you hate this album? Are you new to this album? Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. And there's also a button somewhere which has the word subscribe on it. It would be a great encouragement to me if you would subscribe to my channel. Come and join me on this journey of discovering the best albums in the world ever. So, this album by Foals. So I found myself, whilst I was listening, almost thinking, I wish I could listen without having to form an opinion. And I think one of the reasons was I was struggling to have a coherent opinion. So let's put something out there straight away. I liked it. I enjoyed it quite a lot. Right. I always try and do some description. So, and this is where it kind of is a little bit slippery. So I would say that it's indie rock in general, but with some influences from other things. So there's certainly elements of modern pop in there, but yeah, at the more kind of the less really poppy end, the more serious end. So first of all, I want to say that the thing that I was relieved by is that it doesn't have the big curtain of guitar chords that seems to be the backing of so much indie rock, particularly from the 90s, and this is a bit later than that, which, you know, it's a reasonable sound. It's just overdone in my mind, and I get a bit bored of it. There are elements here of kind of big bombastic rock sounds. There's big drums at times which remind me of the White Stripes in production. It's kind of really big sound that fills the speakers. There's elements of modern pop in that bits reminded me maybe of Ed Sheeran at times, not in a bad way. There are some grooves, so kind of that element reminded me a bit of The Killers at times. There were some quieter songs where I was reminded more of kind of Coldplay style stuff. And there's, again, some of the big stuff reminded me maybe of Kaiser Chiefs. So that's a lot of comparisons for bands, and if you don't know the bands, that's not going to really help you very much. I think the thing to say is it's pretty varied. It's definitely quite modern in its approach, in its production and its songwriting. But it's a more varied album than you often hear, I think. And I think that sometimes there's an issue. You've got to be careful with the amount of variety you put in an album, because it starts to fall apart as an album. But this is held together by some of the sounds used, and particularly by Yannis's voice, which ties everything together. It does feel like a coherent album. It does feel like a journey through several different styles and several songs, but it is still pretty varied through it. And that I like variety in an album. I like something that isn't just kind of the same idea over and over again. So, for example, Give It All is a quieter song. Albatross is a song that is kind of epic, and it comes and goes. It has faster bits and then bits without drums in it. Snake Oil is one that reminded me very strongly of, say, the Kaiser Chiefs, with a big kind of beaty background. Night Swimmers was more kind of dancey pop backing. The words are, well, I listened to some of the words. I didn't necessarily focus on them greatly. They're mildly interesting. I didn't feel like they were strongly telling stories or strongly obvious all the time what they were about. Sometimes it's reasonably straightforward. Yannis has a quite a distinctive and intense and expressive voice. It's definitely the sort of voice that you don't want to be doing comedy songs with. It's more of the kind of serious stuff. It has a sort of feeling of, oh dear, my life's in ruins kind of voice, which works well for the songs that they've got. So, like I said at the start, I enjoyed it, and I thought it was a well done album, well implemented. So, that's it from me for now.
Time comes round again. It's itching at your bones. Chill wind comes round.